Mortal Kombat! It has begun. Hey everyone, CJ here. And oh man, this Mortal Kombat thing was so sick! I was just finishing up one of my class final presentations when all of a sudden I find out that Summer Game Fest was playing today. And not only that, but then more gameplay for Mortal Kombat 1 released. I'm way too excited to talk normally about this video, so let's just get right into it. Can't get enough of these designs. These new graphics just look so incredible. This is a little thing that I like to point out where I've always never liked when characters had perfect hair and their hair always stayed in place even though they're moving around. But it's so cool that with these new graphical engines that game developers are using, implementing real hair physics into games now, you can actually see Sub-Zero's hair out of place here. I think that that's a pretty cool detail to notice. We then see the new designs for both Kung Lao and Raiden, which they look so cool in the new modern style. It looks pretty great, and plus they keep their color schemes too. I especially like Raiden's new design, and look how drippy he is. He's got a Rolex on and everything. I like how Kung Lao still wears his bamboo hat like he normally would with his razor hat, and he's got a pretty cool jacket on too. When I saw this guy on the floor during this fight, I was excited to think it was Noob, but since we see later that this is just another Lin Kuei ninja, guess we're not getting Noob. Seeing Scorpion and Sub-Zero come after Raiden and Kung Lao, who could very much be the new Shaolin monks, we'll see, was a pretty sick scene. But yes, with the Lin Kuei medallion on Scorpion pretty much confirms that he is from the Lin Kuei, which makes me think that perhaps in this new timeline, the Shirai Ryu never diverged from the Lin Kuei, and maybe they've been the same clan the whole time. Interesting, Scorpion now has the Scorpion tattoo. This was just a funny screenshot I happened to come across. I like this funny little moment where Kung Lao instinctively uses his razor hat toss move, but since it's a straw hat, it just gently bonks Sub-Zero in the back of his head. When Kung Lao reaches for the chakram, it makes me think that all the characters will have at least one weapon in their arsenal of moves. Plus, it also makes me think back to Kung Jin and his chakrams. It makes sense since they're both from the White Lotus, and I'm assuming White Lotus members have access to different weapons such as the chakrams. Man, Sub-Zero here looks so sick. The detail that I failed to notice the first time was that both Sub-Zero and Scorpion have normal human eyes, which means that Scorpion may or may not be a specter, and Sub-Zero won't have glowy eyes like he did in MKX. But it is pretty cool that he has ice arms back. Dang, Raiden looks like he's cheeked up. And then when we transition to gameplay, there's just so much to admire. It's just so incredible. We're at this state of games where it looks so incredibly amazing. We get a little tease as to how some of the combos are going to look and how the X-rays are going to look too, which look pretty sick. The new moves for everyone looks pretty sick. And since Sub-Zero's always been one of my favorite characters, I can't wait to play him. It's really cool seeing the switch of dynamics now that it's Liu Kang being the mentor and Raiden being the fellow Shaolin monk to Kung Lao. I really like seeing the contrast between the two, and especially Liu Kang being the mentor. Seeing Sub-Zero and Scorpion working together like this is so incredibly cool. And whether or not they're actual blood brothers or just figurative brothers, both are going to be super awesome, as they'll be working together now, under Lord Liu Kang's advice. Makes me wonder if this is Kuai Liang or if this is Bi-Han. But either way, it's cool that we get Fire and Ice working together. Oh yeah, see, there's the random Lin Kuei guy. What an incredible test to put Kung Lao and Raiden through, having Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight them in order to recruit them into Liu Kang's new lineup of Earthrealm champions. It brings up the question whether or not Liu Kang is realizing that this is around the time point where all of the characters that he fought with back in his timeline are at their best, or if there really is some menacing threat that he's anticipating and now he's gathering everyone together. When we transition scenes, we not only get confirmation that we're getting Johnny Cage, but we get a new look at the new Kenshi of this timeline, and he looks pretty cool. I like his modern suit. We see a lot of Johnny Cage's home, with all of his awards and stuff and how fancy and expensive it looks. But the most important thing is Kenshi's family's sword Sento, which makes me think that maybe the Black Dragon or some other force managed to get their hands on it, and it was just spread around in auctions, and maybe Johnny Cage just bought it just because it looked cool. But we'll see when we get to this story chapter when the game comes out. Pretty sick tattoo on this modern Kenshi. A nice little subtle change to his character design. We clearly see that Kenshi still has his eyesight, so he hasn't lost that yet. And since Shang Tsung's not in this timeline, he might be losing it in another means, instead of the traditional blinding light from the soul chamber. But we'll see how he loses his sight in this timeline. The spiritual ancestral ghost looks so sick in this new iteration. Samurai armor is just always so dope. Having both your character and the Kameo fighter using their extra at the same time is so cool and so innovative. It's gonna look so sick seeing all the different matchups and stuff. It's gonna make everything look so cool. The gameplay is just super incredible. Love it, love it, love it. Hilarious moment from Mr. Hilarious himself, who looks pretty great and looks very similar to the MK11 face as well. And from the sounds of it, Andrew Bowen is back to voice Johnny Cage. And I think some of the other voice actors are back too. Not quite sure, but you can correct me in the comment section below if I'm wrong. This new visual of Fire God Liu Kang is so fire. We see that Liu Kang intervenes when Scorpion and Sub-Zero are about to fight Johnny Cage. And seeing from the cutscene, we can see that Kenshi's tied to a chair, which naturally means that Johnny Cage beat him. And of course, because he was in the player 1 side, that just means that this is his story chapter. We not only see that Liu Kang still has his dragon tattoos, but also the backside of his new outfit. Looks pretty cool. Such incredible facial capture, just so great. And the expressions are pretty funny too. What's also pretty funny is Johnny Cage saying, "Let's go back to 1." It's like, we kind of are going back to 1. Just hearing Liu Kang say his full title, now that he's a guardian, is so dope. Liu Kang, Protector of Earthrealm and God of Fire. Man, it's so insane how insanely cool the Mortal Kombat storyline has changed. And then, of course, more movesets and more gameplay. It's just so incredible. The stages are really cool too, since we just saw Johnny Cage's home. But this map in particular is interesting to me because this looks like Shang Tsung's island. But of course, since Shang Tsung seems to not have originated in this timeline, that maybe Liu Kang has the Wuxi Academy here. Or this is used as a different place or meditation spot or something. It's very interesting what Liu Kang would use the island for if Shang Tsung's not here. Another funny screen grab. Look at Scorpion. It's cool that Scorpion has more weapons now, which I'm assuming the others have more weapons too, since we saw Sub-Zero use like a ice spear. But this weapon in particular is personally one of my favorite martial arts weapons of all time. The kamas, so sick that we're seeing representation for kamas, because I feel like they're very underutilized in most media. I don't know, it's just a cool weapon. I've always found it interesting. Glad it's gonna be in great use with this game. We see some more of the Wuxi Academy, and it's a nice little reference to how it looked in the original timeline, since we have the center training area with the big 4 statues surrounding it. Naturally, Liu Kang would bring this back in his new timeline to honor what's come before. I can't get over all these new changes. For me, it's just super dope. And seeing Kenshi and Human Raiden or Mortal Raiden being students at the Wuxi Academy is just such an incredibly cool idea. I mean, look at these two. These two even have the outfits on. It's incredibly cool. I don't know, like, am I the only one that's like super excited for the story of Mortal Raiden? It would be interesting if the story, although it follows all these characters around, has Mortal Raiden being the main protagonist. Would be exciting to see. Plus, before this gameplay trailer, I thought he didn't have any of his original powers. And then, bam, we find out that Raiden does have his electricity powers back. It's gonna be so sick. Raiden has always been one of my favorite MK characters. And it's just so cool seeing him do like his electric orb aura zappy thing. But man, it's gonna be so sick. Can't wait to play him in the game. When we get some more story-driven cutscenes, we see that Melina is having to deal with a disease which possibly makes her Tarkatan, which brings an interesting Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of thing to Melina, since she seems to be a normal humanoid Danian, which brings up the question how they changed the whole Tarkatan thing in this timeline. And seeing that Kenshi, who I didn't even notice was there the first time I saw this trailer, this might be where he loses his eyesight to Melina if she goes savage. As we cut over to Kitana and Melina gameplay, we see more of the Kameo fighters, including classic Sonya and a rendition of classic Goro maybe, or just Goro with his armor set, which is pretty cool because I don't think he's ever had armor set to think about it. But it is nice to see that the Kameo fighters are having their classic looks. More on that later. Melina and Kitana's new character designs are so beautiful and cool at the same time. And I like the change in colors too. How the subtle changes in tone and all the silver adds on to their new modern look. But with Melina talking about her throne. It seems like in this timeline that she's ruler of Edenia, not Katana, which, if that's true, proves a lot of theories that I've been hearing about. And an interesting thing to think about is whether or not Liu Kang made it so that Melina is naturally born to Sindel and Jarrett, making her truly Katana's sister from the get-go and not a clone made from Shang Tsung. There's just way too much gameplay to go through, and all the new combos, all the fatalities, x-rays, it's just going to be so incredibly dope when we see it fully in-game and during the character trailers too. Also, another funny screen grab, like, what, are they having a friendship dance? And hey, this stage looks like something from the 1995 movie. Or I could be wrong. It just looks cool. It's just so incredibly amazing. Everyone looks great, both the modern and the classic designs. And the fact that they're going to be joining us during all of our combos, x-rays, and fatalities is just incredibly cool and an interesting idea for the gameplay. Yo, you can use Primary Lotus with Scorpion, and thus that brings an end to the gameplay trailer. But we're not done with the Mortal Kombat stuff. No. We've still got Jeff Keighley's talk with Daddy Boone, Ed Boon, and more about the technical aspects of this gameplay debut. The character select screen is so incredibly beautiful. I just love it so much. It's great with the colors and the background designs, and of course the character designs too. It's incredibly great. And here we can see the base roster, which consists of 24 characters in total, not including Shang Tsung, the DLC character. And if we exclude all the characters that we've seen so far, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Liu Kang, Katana, Melina, Raiden, Kenshi, and Kung Lao, and Johnny Cage. If we exclude those 9, that makes 15 available slots for more characters. So let's get speculating as to who's going to be a part of the main roster down in the comment section below. I hope my boy Reptile is back and Smoke. And it's really cool how the Kameo fighters have their own select menu too. And the only Kameo fighters that we've seen in this gameplay debut is Kano, Jax, Sonya, Kung Lao, Sub-Zero, and Goro. So with there being 16 in total and 6 that we know of, that makes 10 Kameo fighters to speculate about, whether or not that includes the leaks that we know about or any extra that might come later. I like how all the Kameo fighters have their classic look. Makes me think that in my own headcanon that Liu Kang brought all these Kameo fighters back in their classic looks to honor and reference the old timeline. And of course their designs look really great in the new engine too. Okay, let me tell you how cool this thing is. So we go from the character select menus, and then the characters that you pick clash, have their own intros, and then it transitions into the gameplay. That's so cool how just everything just smooths, how everything moves so smoothly. It's too bad that we won't get all the reference-filled intros, but I feel like that's fine, and to make things quicker and smoother for people playing the game. It's such a cool idea, and I'm glad that they're playing with that with this game. It's going to be super cool to still see all the intros and stuff and references to this new timeline. We also get to see how the new HUD looks mid-game, and we also find out that not only do the Kameo fighters have a meter that needs to be replenished over time, but we find out from Boone himself that they have multiple moves that you can use, which is going to be insane when it comes to the different matchups that you can have. But yeah, with that brings it into the new gameplay trailer. Also, look at Kenshi posing all funny like that. I'm super excited for this game, both for the story and gameplay. And with all the different character trailers dropping in the summer, it's going to be so epic. Hype season is always the best season for any game, especially Mortal Kombat. But with that brings an end to the video. And if you liked it, why don't you drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more. If you want to check out some of my other content that's not on YouTube, like my Instagram page, you can using the link down below. And speaking of down below, write down all your thoughts and theories and character hopes in the comment section below. And in that way, we can get the hype train going. But with that, I hope you all continue to have a great day, and I'll catch you next time, especially for the next Mortal Kombat video. But with that, see you next time. Bye-bye for now.